Yeah, I hope you got the access of this org. This time it is only for 45 days. Usually it is 90 days, but what we will do, after some time, we will create another org and then I will provide the access, right? Okay, so yeah, whenever you get an org or the, you need to install it, the thing that you need to make sure, you need to go to the manage packages. Yeah, install packages. And there you will see Velocity CMT or Velocity Insurance, which one is installed there. So since we selected the CMT, so that's why CMT is installed. So this is the first thing that you need to check. Across any org, whenever you are in a sandbox or in a production environment, if you want to verify which Velocity version is installed, you need to go to the install packages. When you see, this is something that I have created from success.velocity.com, but in general, when you install the same Velocity, just a second. Yeah, when you install the Velocity, they will ask you, you want to install a blank package or you also want to install with some data. So if you are in a sandbox, I mean, some developer sandbox where no business users are there, which don't do the sanity or anything, there I prefer to select the with data option. Why? Because it will create some data for some standard and custom objects related to velocity, and it will help you to first check what all the bindings and everything is working fine or not. If you select this option where no data is required, in that case you probably need to create everything for your own. And maybe maybe in some of the cases what happens, whenever we new person join the team or someone who's having a lesser experience, they need some reference to get started, right? So those already installed package, if you select the data, then it helps them to at least get started. They can also check, okay, what are the things, and they can also refer themselves for some of the cases as well. And there's, like I was saying, in last class there is something called velocity template, right? So that template is actually very important. The predefined template that velocity is providing, most of the time we use the same templates or we clone it and do the changes. It is as it actually saves so much time. But anyways, in short, at least there should be any sandbox, at least one sandbox where the default data that velocity is providing should be there. Okay. Maybe, I mean, that's totally depend on your company policy. But yeah, that's my experience. If someone who's new in the team and I don't want to spend my time to guide them, I can simply create a or refer them to a sandbox where already some installed packages are there. I can just tell them the name of those components and they can directly go and refer that. Yeah. So I just want to show you what all the what are the elements that are there. It's decent. Yeah. You can see which version is installed, and you can also check how many total version number. So those things are required when you create a case in Velocity. They will first ask you which version and which version number is there. So you can also go at the same place and you can tell them, okay, this is the version number and this is the those numbers are there. So they can then tell you, okay, your version is outdated, or then on the top of it they will install it. We'll talk about it when we discuss about how we can connect, how we can create a velocity case. Because see, some of the time what is the behavior, like we are working on some native components and it is not working as expected, so we don't need to take care about the backend coding, or we don't need to think about how why it is not working. If the expected behavior is not working correctly, we can directly go to velocity. Maybe we need to create one access for some time and then they guys can check it. Anyways, we will come into this page. I think it is taking some time to load. let's discuss about the requirement that we want to discuss today. So let me actually show you that page. You need to click on this plus icon. Here you need to type OmniScript. There's OmniScript designer. Velocity OmniScript. I don't see that tab. OmniScript. Yeah. So this is the basic page. Actually, previously the name was OmniScript Designer, but now I think they have changed this to OmniScript. Sometimes you also see there is no Velocity written here. It is something called Omni Studio because now Velocity is changing the name from Omni Velocity to Omni Studio. So this thing you can also check. Anyways, this is the tab of Velocity. I have opened two tabs here. One is this OmniScript and other one is this, which is normal visual, our native tab, right? Let me also switch back to the classic because it will take some time if I refer it. Okay, so yeah, it opened. So let's check this for a moment. So see, it created 102 tabs, that many objects, 5 apps, and there's so many, you can see buttons and static variables are there. So what basically this package is doing, let's say if we are, let me tell you that, let me actually go to any object, maybe account. Okay, I'm going to account fields. There is an option where we can create a new field, right? You can see all those basically Velocity created those tabs, right? So if I click on new and I select any, let's say I selected this formula and click on new. Okay, and I start typing some formula here. So what backend Salesforce will do? If I suppose writing a if condition, in that case, let's quickly go to that page. Anyways, let me open Notepad there, we can check. So let's say we have created this formula. If count dot name is equal to ABC, right? It will be true, else false. In the backend, it will do. It will basically simply if this if is nothing but a class that Salesforce created from the backend, right? It whenever we declare if and write those syntax, it will simply refer to that class where we have passed 3 parameters. One is this and second one is this, right? These 3 parameters we have passed. Similar ways, Velocity also does the same thing, but on a different note. How it does it? It install those many objects, those many VF pages, and all those things. Okay, it also changed some of the native components like account, users, and contacts. There's some native objects that it also does the changes, and it is basically using all those codes on a behalf of us. So we don't need to take care about what coding is written behind the scene. We just need to write our own code. Okay, so let's see. Let's check about that. So If you check this OmniScript, like in the last class I told you, OmniScript is used for the skin. It is used for doing the cosmetic changes. So they develop this particular VF page for us, and from there we can simply click on new and start working on it. So we don't need to take care what coding that they have done behind the scene. That give us one clarity, like we also don't need to take care about the best practices that are involved to run this VF page. Okay, but we have to take care about those practices that are requiring to run our script smoothly. Okay, so the benefit of it, again, if someone in your team is having less experience, if they created something, it will not stop you to work on that VF page, because that VF page is a part of package and we cannot check that code, right? Yeah. Any questions on it? See, the point I want to make here is the installed packages that we have installed. It is written some code on the behalf of us, and on the entire course, we will use their VF pages and optimize our, create our business processes. Okay. So today what we will be gonna discuss is, let's say this is the requirement. Let's say this is one page. Okay, and this will be a text field. We want user, or let's say this is the big requirement where users can go here and they need to type some account name here like ABC. Okay, based on the account name, there should be a next button. When the user click on this next button, another page will open, and there it will show account basic details like account name, account phone number, email addresses, and we also want to show the contact details here. Okay, so this will be the first requirement here. First thing we need is UI, right? UI will be our OS OmniScripts, and then once user click on it, there will be a button. That button should call a logic, right? And based on that, it should show the next page, and there it will show the data. That's the first thing. But there should also be a scenario when there is no account found with this name, right? We also need to take care about that. In that case, we need to show a different screen where we need to populate that there's no such account starting with this name. In that case, we should show one more option where we ask user to, if you want to create this account. Okay, so this will be our requirement. We will work on it and we also make it more complex in future classes. And we will see what all the OmniScripts velocity component that are involved to perform anything on it, right? So the first thing, like I say, you need to take care about the UI. Okay? You need to first thing where is we can create the UI. So for creating the UI, we will discuss this part today. Click on tabs and found the OmniScripts, right? There you will find an option new. Just click on it. Now let's discuss about this pop-up. There are different structures like naming conventions that we usually follow based on our company, right? Our company's nomenclature methods, right? But here, what Velocity prefer is camel case. That means you should first, whatever you're writing, make sure your first component is the first name will be uppercase. Like if I type this, count, search. So my A should be caps and S should be caps. In general, when we work on Visual Force pages, Lightning, LWC, or anywhere, then account search is equal to this account search, right? There's no case sensitivity involved. But here, since whatever we are doing here, it is converting our input in a JSON form, and JSON is always case sensitive. So make sure whatever you're applying, it is not any issue. You can also write this as well, but you should apply the same naming convention across entire package. Okay, why? Because if you refer this as this somewhere and then you make a small, then it will be a big issue for you, because then your code will not work and you need to debug it properly why it is not working. Because as a human eye, you will see, okay, I'm referring the same thing, it is correct. Or maybe you refer this, but on the declaration part, you use this, right? So that's why Velocity says just follow one naming convention. They prefer camel case, but again, depends on the company. What I mean, every company has its own naming convention, right? So you can follow the same, but make sure it is common across your Velocity packages. Okay. The first thing is this name. Second is the language. Language is normally English, okay, but you can change based on users local, right? The next thing is type and subtype. This is important. See, type and subtype and name. These three things basically is the identity of your OmniScript, right? Name, we generally write what we are doing here. Like we are making a account search, so I write account search. Type and subtype is used for your identification in that way. Let's say you're working for a client, working for a customer, and apart from your company, there's two more company who's working for that customer, right? And they are also sharing the same platform. Let's say they are also sharing the same production environment. In that case, your type will be your project name. Okay, let's say my project name is, the short form of my project name is, let's say VL, velocities. Let's say VL. This is my project name. So I need to use type as VL, so that once my code get deployed to production and there someone need to check, or maybe in an environment where others codes are also there, other teams codes are also there, so this will be my first identifier. If something wrong, or even I need to check for what all the coding that my team has written, so I can simply say, okay, just use type VL. It will give you the entire list of codes that we did, right? Again, this type needs to be common. It's not like you are using wheel here and when we discuss about data raptor, you use something else, right? So make sure the type, the purpose of type is this. Now let's talk about the other scenario. Let's say your company, you are the only person who's working for that project, and there's no such naming convention that your company follow. In that case, type will be your object, which object you're referring. Let's say this time I'm referring account, so I can write account. Okay. Reason why I'm saying this, because when you let me close it, when you see it now, you will see different pages, and believe me, there will be thousands of omniscripts. In that case, it will be very difficult for us to identify which one we need to look at. Okay, in that case, yes, you have option to search, but generally we don't remember the names, right? So we can simply go and short and write the filter on the type. There we will find all those types. So yeah, just better to use a something which is meaningful. So writing account search, let's say type, in our case we are using account. Okay, why account? Because in future if I want to go back and check how many omniscripts we have written for account object, we can go and hit subtypes. You can make more specific, like for search. Okay, yeah, is it clear? Type and subtype.
Is this something like the free text, anything we can type, which
Right,
something
right.
which help us to recall, right? Yeah.
Right, right. But once, let's say there's nothing written account, so it is not populating anything. But let me do that. So see, if something that is already there, it will show as a list here. If something is not there, then yeah, it will create it. Okay. Same goes for subtypes as well. It's a free text. And in the description is something which used for internal purpose. Let's say you want, and it is also a best practice. If you want to tell something about your OmniScript, why, what this OmniScript is doing, and you can also type here from where it is calling. We will discuss about that from where we can call OmniScripts. And if there is also a parent OmniScript that is calling this OmniScript, you can also type the name here. It will save some time to debug it, right? Just seeing this couple of lines, what you are actually doing, it will help us to say, right? In let me think, if let me check if there is any code, or whenever we create any class, we write this thing, right, where we define what is the test class, who updated that, and all those things, right? So you can imagine description for the same purpose. Okay, the next thing is LWC enabled OmniScripts. Now by default LWC, if you select save, it will enable the LWC for you. Why? Because LWC is something which is more advanced apart from VF pages, right? But for today's purpose, we are unchecking this. Why? Because first we will learn all the concepts of VF pages in OmniScript, and then we will upgrade it to LWC, and then we will talk about what are the new things here. Okay. So this is the basic concepts. Again, let me repeat. Whatever naming convention you need to follow, make it sure you're following it everywhere. Okay. You can see the installed one. You can see it is also camel case, right? Next is the type. Make sure it is make some meaning. maybe it is your project name or any object name, or maybe something common, maybe whatever type you're writing here. That means you're gonna create different omniscript tagging with the same type. Okay, and the subtype is maybe some uh, sprint, or maybe some specific value that you want to give that helps you to do the search. Okay, description is something that your team members, new team members, or whenever you left, someone new join, they can also check what this script is doing. And sometimes people also do that, they also write the updation, I mean what get updated, so it will be very clumsy. I don't refer this, just yeah, description should be small and some bullet points, whatever changes, whatever things you're doing should not be tracked, right? But velocity is anyhow is independent, it is free text, you can type anything, right? Now click on save. Just keep an eye on the URL. Okay, so what it does basically, it is redirecting to a different page, right? This is nothing but a VF page, and it generated an ID. So just copy this ID, go to Salesforce home page and paste. Okay, here you can say this is the name that we have given, this is the type that we have given, this is the search subtype we have given, this is the language we have given. So all those things, whatever we have given in the first small pop-up, it is stored in a structured way. Okay, so this was I was referring in the first class. Since velocity is also running on the top of Salesforce, so it will also follow those standards, those limits and all. So what it basically does, it created a record in this object, which is velocity omniscript. It is nothing but a object. You can also check the fields. So those many fields they have created. There's also a JSON field, which is this property set. You can see there's so many JSON written. We will discuss about JSON in maybe in next class. But yeah, this is something that I want to tell you. Whatever changes we did in this view of page, you can see these changes are reflecting in one object, which is this. Okay, so in the backend, it is maintaining one object where whatever changes we are doing, it is storing in a JSON form. Okay, some of them are on the top there, some of them are basic fields, but yeah, in general, we will discuss only about the JSON that we create, because this is the part that we look if something, let's say in you get some issues where something is working properly in your developer environment, but some other environment it is not working. So the first thing that you need to check is the what is the difference between both of the JSON files. Okay, yeah, we'll discuss about that, but yeah, now let's come and discuss about the OmniScript designer page. There are three main sections. One is your controller, where all your actions will be there. Whatever you want to use, this will be the main controller. This will be the structure. I mean, how many of them you have used, you can check this in a glance. And this will be the edit panel. You can say, let's say if I click here, it will update. It will now show me all the settings related to this particular section. Okay, so it has velocity divided it into three parts. There is also option to preview. When you click on the preview, you are doing nothing but a unit testing. So see, whatever we do in OmniScripts, Velocity is very strict with providing our unit testing. So whenever we drag any element here, we need to click on preview and it will show us how our page is looking. So we don't need to, wait or go anywhere else to check whatever we have done and how it is looking. You can even just go to the preview and whatever changes we have done, it will show here. Okay. Now let's talk about the default configuration which comes whenever you create any Omni scripts. You can check all those configuration in script configuration tab. So now let me relate this script configuration with our Visual Force pages. You can say script configuration is something which runs on a page load. Okay, it will not run step one first. It will first run script configuration. Script configuration is something which we write on the top of Visual Force pages. It is something your 2-unit methods. It is something which runs on the first script, you can say. Okay, there they have created some basic naming, like what is the OmniScript name, what is the type, subtype. You can change those things. There's also an option where you can enable this. I mean, whatever we have done in the first screen at the time of a creation, we can go here and override that. Okay, we will as we go ahead, we will discuss about those configurations. But yeah, as of now, you can say this script configuration is firstly loaded, and it will define what is the behavior of your own script. Let's say I use this reusable checkbox, right? If I use this reusable checkbox, that means after only checking this checkbox, I can use this omniscript somewhere else also. If I'm not checking, it will not work, right? Similar ways, if I check this LWC enabled, my this velocity, I mean, this OmniScript is now LWC enabled. All the rendering of those icons will be now done with the help of LWC components. So that type of changes we can do on it. There's so many. We will discuss about it. Okay. The next step, the next thing is this step. This is the entry point of your OmniScript. Step is nothing. Let me show you. Yeah, this you can say, right? There is a draggable option which define the first thing, right? So this is something which is called step. Okay, you can also use some of these components. We will discuss about that. As of now, just imagine step is something which is the entry point. Now, coming back to our requirement, where we need to drag a page where we first element should be a search icon. This, right? So let's check from where we can drag it. So yeah. Then you need to go to the inputs. I'm not opening any of those icons. This input basically, let's first talk about it. This input is nothing. You can say this is the form input. You can say, let's say I want to use text fields. In that case, I need to find all those things and I find the text here. So I just need to put it and drag it on the step. Okay, getting it. So this input is nothing. You can say this is all type of field that we create in this into the cell source. Okay, whether it is a checkbox, currency, custom LWC, date, time, disclosure, email, all those things, and nothing but your text element. Okay, I have dragged this text element here, and when the moment I drag it, open some elements for us. But before we do, let's do the preview. Okay, now it is expecting a text from us. So that is what we want. We need a text that shows something, and their users can type something, and there should be a next button. Based on that, our data will show, right? So this is the first thing. But let me first tell you what are all the element settings that we need to do here. And this will be common for most of those input elements. Okay, it is just like if I drag a number, then the settings will be shown as a number. We'll discuss about that, but most of them will be the common. So the first thing is the element name. This is very important. See, this element name is your API name, you can consider. Okay, this element name will be the unique identity of this text. You can use this text one across anywhere in your OMS script, but the scope of this is only limited to this script. Okay, you cannot use text one in different Omni script. We'll discuss about that, how we can use that. But here you can imagine this text one will be the unique identity. If I drag another element, let's say anything, let me drag, let's say URL. And here, if I copy the name and paste it, it will not let me do. See, it will show this. It will say the name should be unique. It is already in use. So that is why I want to tell you this will be the unique identity. Okay. So it should also be something meaningful. Let's say you can write this. Okay. This will not visible to users. Whatever you type in the label, this will be visible to users. Let's say, please type account name. Okay. If you go to the preview, there you will see this type account name will be visible, and whatever we have written there, it will not visible. Now some basic UI we can directly do. We don't need any CSS. We don't need any HTML support. Like some UI, like we want to show this on the top. So you can see that there is a drop down here, right? It shows us a different options. We can click on lightning. In that case, the page will show in a lightning mode. Yeah, it will show like that. If you do this, I mean, different views you want to see. They have, okay, they're in, let me check. If this error start continuing, I will create another log because this is, see, this is the problem sometimes. No, it will show. See, so such types of issues, if you are also facing in your sandbox or something, you don't need to take it. You just create a case of velocity. They will take care. They will fix those. If it is a start continuing, I will create another org. Okay. Yeah. So the point I want to make, we can control simple UIs directly from here. We don't need to take care about the different ways. We'll discuss about the UI, but yeah, this is the first thing that we can do. Let's talk about the other phase. This is something called width. Let's come up. Yeah, let's talk about it. So see, width, if you're aware how the width works in LWC and Lightning in Aura framework, it is very similar here. The total width is 12. Okay, let me try to write this. Your total width, let's say this is our page, this will be 12. If we want to use 50-50, in that case, we want to use this. In that case, we need to first think how many sections we want. Let's say we want 2 sections. So we need to divide 12 with those sections. So the answer will be 6. In that case, we will use 6 here. We will use 6 here. Let's do that. Let me do 6. Okay. In that case, what will happen? This will be shown shifted to half screen here. Okay, then all the padding and margin will be taken considering that we can only use 50% of the page bandwidth, right? So let's check this. See, now it is shifted to 50% on. Similar ways, let's say you want to use 3 sections. In that case, you need to divide 12 with 3. Okay, and then it will show you. Okay, that's a basic math, right? Clear? This is something more usable format. So just wanted to know if we are on right page. See, if we want to use, it is very simple. If 12 means it will consume full bandwidth. If 6, it will consume 50% of it. If we can tune it based on our requirement. Okay. So
This is
that
specific to step one, I think. On the step one, if I want to keep three component, then I can divide by three columns. Is that correct?
correct. Right.
Yeah.
It was your step one will discuss about what is what will happen if step two is in the picture. Yeah, but consider only one page. So it will divide your bandwidth of your pages like that only, right? Because in, yeah, we will use it when we display some account detail pages. But here I'm keeping this 12 because there is only one field that we want to display, right? Now let's talk about the other thing. This is the default value. Let's say similar ways in our Aura framework, whenever we define an attribute, there's an option called default value, right? We can define those default values there. Let's talk about some more. It is required. If it is a required, the UI will be red. Okay. Let me clear the data. Maybe then it will work. Yes, see, now it is red. It will not let us go in the next step until we find fill any value inside it. Similar ways, there is a read only. If we select read only, we can't edit it, right? So those level of editing we can directly do by checking one field. Now it is not editable, and you can see those styling and all. It is already taken care of, right? So all those things we can do. Repeat, we'll discuss about it when we discuss how to display a list of data. Okay. Level outside fields, like if I check that, and you can see this will be shown in the top of the field. Maybe in that case, we need to click on the universal page. See, now it is coming here. Okay, so those basic things we can control. Help text, if we want to give masking, let's say this information is secure, so it will ask us how we want to display the mask. Like you can see this number is looking like that, right? So it will do that. Pattern means if we want to this pattern basically support the different formats. Like if it is a number, so we want to, let's say it's a mobile number and we want to display mobile number in a different way, so we can directly use this pattern here directly, right?
Or
Similar
is it
ways.
like to mandate a pattern like an email ID or something like that? Is it a regex? Because in the help text I'm seeing a regex there.
Right, it support the regex itself. In fact, the masking is also having the same concept. You can also use regex there as well, and matern as well. So those things we can it already support here. I mean, you don't need to take in. If I talk about VF pages and lighting, we need to take care about the alert messages and all. If someone is not following the correct syntax, here it will automatically taken care of. If the pattern is not following, it will show the exception that you're not typing it correctly. Okay, but yeah, we need to provide the pattern how we want to show the page. Similar ways for error messages, like what if something missed happen. If you want to provide any error, custom error messages, then you can type here as well, right? This is also something normal. Minimum value, let's say we want to restrict user to type less than three values, then you can type three here. And here, if let's say maximum is 255, you can also extend it to that place. Depends on which type of attribute you have used, right? This is the placeholder. This we will discuss when we do the rendering. This will basically, you can say this will work when we put any if and else condition. Let's say we don't want to, there is a condition where we want to display it on a simple case. Let's say if user ID is ABC, start with ABC or end with ABC. In that case, we don't want to show this. Or profile is something else, we don't want to show this. In that case, we need to check this checkbox. There's also some thing which is not visible. Yeah, see, this is the issue. I think in this org, I need to create different org. It is not displaying full values. Yeah, the last option is the conditional views. So conditional views means, let's say if I want to add a condition, I can click on the next. Please zoom it. Hmm. We'll discuss about conditions. Maybe I will try to create a different org. There's a problem in this org. Yeah, we will discuss about conditions when we display that text, that error message, which we want to render only if the no information is there. Okay, so these are the basic values that we want to show to the users. Okay, so this is, you can see this is as simple as that. I mean, we can control the entire behavior of our text in just on clicks. We don't need to take care about anything else. Now, one thing that you have seen, there's a step and there's a step. These two things are shown. There's also some buttons that are there which are not uh sorry. Yeah, there are some buttons which are not there, right? We haven't configured these step one and step from where it is showing. We can control that on step configurations. Let's go there. You see step chart. There's an option called hide step chart. In that case, when we select this, it will not show. Okay, it will not show. Similar ways, these buttons also. The save for letter, this is very important button. We will discuss about it. But yeah, so this is about it. Now let's do one thing. Let me now introduce another step and then see how the behavior and everything gonna change. Since the next thing that we need to create is this screen, right? Before we interact with the data, let's say the data part we'll do tomorrow. All the UI we will cover today. Okay. In that case, we need to show a different page after that. So whenever the requirement is you need to show a different page, that means you need to create a different step. Okay. Let me first drag the step. You will find this step in the groups. Okay. I have dragged this step. Okay, the moment I drag this step, you can see there a next button will be enabled. Okay, the next button is now enabled, and also let me make it required. Yep. That is now set to required. If I do the next, it will show this exception, right? Fill all the errors, and then we need to fill the actual value here as well. So those kind of things, velocity already taken care of. Now, if I type something, let's say, if I do the next, you can see step 2 is now visible. In the step 2, now which field we want to take care, that fields we need to configure here. Let me do one thing. Let me drag a text again. And before that, let's discuss some. Can't see text now. Just one thing. Okay. Yeah. Now we have dragged the text to here. Now let's do the preview. There's a ABC written. Click on next. Now text 2 is there. Now let me, and there's also a previous button which is automatically get enabled because there are two screens now. Can go on the previous, the data will be stored. We can go on next. Whatever we have typed, it will also be cached. So if I go preview, this will be cached and this will also be cached. So those things, Velocity will automatically take care. We can also use, I mean, we also have a control to whether we want to display this preview button or not. We'll discuss about that. But yeah, but before that, let me talk you about this. You can see now there's a sequence. Like first thing is a script configuration. Second is a step 1. And third one is the step 2. That means first, it will run script configuration. Whatever script configuration will return, it will be the input of your step 1. Then it will run step 1. Whatever step 1 and script configuration return, it will be the input of your step 2. And this will go on. And what are those inputs? They are nothing but the JSON. It will first return some JSON returned by your script configuration. You can use those JSON in your step 2. Whatever your step 2 is returning, you can use that JSON in step 1, and whatever step 1 is returning, you can use it here. So the order of sequence is this. It will always be like that. Okay, so let's say now let's talk about that. Let's say we want to fire any here, let's imagine we want to fire any Apex class. We will not fire Apex class. We have options, but I'm just telling you a example. Let's say we want to fire a Apex class, which we want to use data first. Okay, the requirement is we first need, let's use the same requirement. We want to display this account name only for system admin profile. We don't want to display it for any other user profile. In that case, we need to fire a Apex class, let's say, and that Apex class is returning that data, and based on that, I need to do the rendering. So that will only happen if I call this Apex class before step 1, right? If I call this class after step 1, there is a no check, right? Because it will display the UI and then it will do the query. Getting my point? So there you need to think what all the order of sequence of executing your OmniScript. Okay, your OmniScript is a gateway where you call the logic, where you call the data raptors, where you call the integration procedures. But from where you call, will be the tricky one. Okay. Also, since I told you, okay, I'm just giving you one references. We will dive into it and we will discuss about it. But yeah, keep these are some bullet points that I want to discuss. In the I told you the input of your previous step will be the input of your next step. That means, let's say you called 10 Apex classes, let's say 10 methods you have fired and you called. Maybe For next step, you don't want the output of all those 10. If you pass those 10 outputs in this step 1, the next process will be slow because there is so much unnecessary JSON that we are passing to step 1, which is not relevant. Correct? That we can also control. So those are some interview questions that in general people will ask, like what will be order of sequence. So the answer is order of sequence will depend from where we have dragged those components. Let me show you. Let's say we have dragged this element here. Okay, this is action. We'll discuss about it. What is that? But I'm just telling you for an example. We drag this calculation action one. So what this will do, it will do its job. It will run this remote classes and all. And whatever this remote class returned, it will feed that output into step one. And maybe step one doesn't require those things. Right? So we can also control that. Okay, we'll discuss about it. But the idea here is make sure whenever you're working on a script, you take those from where you need to drag it. That will be the key area. Okay, this is from where experience come into the picture. You have to tell your users or your developers that from where you need to break your script and how you need to pass the data. Now let me show you an example how the data will be triggered into go to the next. Now let's say we have used ABC here, and in the next screen, step 2, we want to pass the same value that we have written into the previous screen. Then how we can do that? It is very simple. Whatever API name, whatever element name you use here, this will be your variable name. Okay, if you want to access that, you just need to copy it. Okay, go there, and in the default value you can give it, but it will not work until you first put the percentage mark. So this percentage mark basically tells us you want to access the value of a variable. If I don't use percentage mark, let's just remove this and then check. Okay, now I'm doing this. Let me also clear the data. We'll discuss about this JSON, whatever written here, but first check that. What happened? Now I'm putting, let's say, Eric. Okay, I'm doing the next. In that case, I am expecting Eric should be written here, but I directly write this. So what in the backend velocity controller is doing, it is treating this as a text. Okay, then how we can make aware him that this is not a text, this is a variable name. Then in that case, we need to use percentage mark. Okay, so whenever you use percentage, the text between them will be treated as a variable, not as a string. Okay, now if you go back and clear the data, just ignore whatever I have done. We will discuss what I did. Here, let's use Eric again. See, and doing the next. Okay, it is not taking, maybe something wrong here. Okay, I will let you know why it is not working, but in generally the percentage will be treated as the variable name. We can pass this variable name and we can use it. Okay, so that is the expected behavior. This is the first way that we usually follow. Second is we need to declare those names somewhere else as well. Let's say we have called a apex class. Okay, and apex class returns something, and that input we want to use, and we don't want to use users to add anything from their own. Let's say the user's name is, let's say, pre-populated values. My username, let's say, is apesing, and I want the apesing should be written here by default, or whatever my account name will be automatically displayed. So those things we can also use. We will discuss those things in the next class. Okay, any questions on it? So the takeaway here is you need to first use the steps on your own. I mean, you need to first make sure what will be the sequence or what will be the order of the execution. Then you need to use those steps. Second is the variable that you have declared will be whatever used here will be treated as variable, and you can refer those variable to some other places as well. Okay, we will discuss about from where we can pass those variables. And once you are done with your changes, you can take the preview. Okay, now let's click on this data and check what are the JSON that are created. Now you can say just ignore this JSON. We'll discuss about it. First, check this step one. Okay, so what this step one is, it is nothing but this step. Okay, if I drag any another element inside it, let's say I have dragged these three elements. Okay, and I did the preview. Now you can check all those three elements are now coming inside the step one, right? And step two element is only text two, which is showing here. But let me copy that. What is the difference actually? I want to show you in a normal JSON and this JSON. We'll discuss about JSON in I mean in depth, but in normally the scope of this text will always remain inside these brackets, right? That means I can use this here as well in normal, but here this is not the right one. The identification, the identity of this will remain same across the OmniScript, but it will not be saved, or it can't be used outside this OmniScript. Okay, now let's go back and copy the full JSON. Apart from these two that we have used, there's other JSON written also. You can see this is nothing but some basic information of your OmniScript that is returning by the script load, script configuration. It is before it is running, before it is going, and before it is executing your written code. By default, it will provide you some details about users, username, profile, time zone, and all those things. You don't, if you want to access it, we don't need to take care about making any calls and all. It will automatically taken care of. There's one more thing which is called context ID. This is something important. We will discuss about it. Context ID is the entry point. Okay, this is the first element here. That means, let's say we are using this OmniScript somewhere else also. Okay, and we are taking the output of that script into that. Okay, in that case, we will use this context ID. Whatever value we have provided in the context ID will be treated as the feed of our script. Okay, and the next thing is like timestamp, user ID, and all those things, right? This is the layout you want to see, and this is component we will discuss about it, how we can configure all those things and all. Any questions on this basic JSON?
Could you please explain about context?
Yeah, context means, yeah, let me tell you, there is actually one class for this context itself, but yeah, let me tell you a basic idea. Now let me go back. Let's say this is not the first screen that we are, yeah, let me actually show you some real world example. M1 Telecom. Okay, so this page that you're seeing here, this is nothing but a step that we have created. In our case, this is our step, right? We are asking some name, currency, and date. Here, this is nothing but a pick list actually. Okay, and they are using CSS to control the behavior of the pick list. Okay, we will use the same example, and I will show you how we can show a pick list like that when we discuss about the templates. So there are two pick lists that they have used, this and this. Based on that, when you click on next button, this is nothing but a next button. When I do the next button, it is now opening the next step. In our case, it is step 2. This is your step 2. And if I select anything, it will again go and show the next step, which is step 3. But here, let's say you have selected this number, or in our case, it could be anything. When you click on continue, You don't want to handle this on the same OmniScript. There's other script which is already written in your project, let's say. In that case, you want to send all the data that we have used until this step to that script so that they can use this number, right? The context ID is the same thing, which tells us what is the previous context of your OmniScript. So if I add any context ID here, in that case, it will get all the output of that OmniScript here also. Then you can access those output variables to drive your actions. Getting it? Let's say there is another script. Okay. Let's say we have made just forgot about this step 2. We have asked user to put account number or account name or anything. And once they do the next, we want to call another OmniScripts. Okay. In that case, whatever the value that user provided, we need to use as an input somewhere, right? To maybe call Apex class or data raptors or integration procedures. In that case, the context ID will be responsible to transfer the value from one OmniScript to another OmniScript. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll discuss about it. There is a different session for context ID, but yeah,
Yeah.
that is the basic idea about it. So
It is to my understanding is like if we have a two component with the help of event we are passing the parameter in general. Similar way here
right,
in order to communicate between the two omniscript we need the context ID.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? We'll discuss about from where we can pass the output of this to somewhere else, because we anyhow need that in the example, right? In our example, whenever we use this, we need to pass the same information to data raptor, and data raptor will do the query, and the query will return the response, and then it will display into the page. Okay, and based on that page, if there's no value found into the databases, we are redirecting them to a different screen. Tomorrow, what we will discuss, first thing we will discuss about the data raptor. Second thing, we will discuss about how we can use conditional elements. Okay, how we can use this condition, like if there will be a if count not equal, I mean, it's less than account dot size is less than 0. In that case, we need to show error message. My account found. Create account, there will be a button create account. And if there is a value, in that case, else condition will fall. There we will display the information. So this if and else we will discuss tomorrow. We will discuss about how we are calling the data raptor to extract the output. This will discuss tomorrow. Today, you guys can do the practice. Today, you can do the practice here. Just go and create some elements. You can see the account search is now active. If you want to make any changes on this, let's say whatever we have done, so don't do changes directly to that script. Otherwise, in the future classes, it will be a problem for me. Maybe something. As of now, it is very simple. There's no big changes we have done, but maybe in next class I will use the same OmniScript to refer you. So what you can do is you can clone this script. Let's say this is the version 1. Okay, you click it, and now there is an option where you can actually clone it, or you can also import it, or you can also create a new version there. For that, you need to go to the current version. Okay, and there is a go to the script. There is an option for create version. Here, click on the create version. It's taking some time. It will show you the same pop-up. Then in the name, you can append your name, and then you can do the changes on it. Okay, now the another version is created. If you go back, you will see 3 versions are now activated. First call 3 version now activated, right? Here in the third version, maybe you can edit that. Okay, you can also export it, archive it, or you can also start working on it. So I will, so this will be the, here you can type your own name. Maybe let's say I'm typing up here. And if I go back, let it save. Yeah, if I go back. Append this, so my name will be there. Okay, now if you want to do any changes, directly use this version, create another version, append your name, and do your exercise changes, whatever you want to do on it, right? This will be why I'm telling you this, because now whatever you do in this version, it will not affect the version 1 and version 3. It will keep on version 2 only. Also, you can do one more thing. You can also create another OmniScript and do your exercises. But whatever we have discussed in the class, if you want to do some changes, then yeah, this will be the better approach. Just click on the current version, clone it, append your name, and do the changes there directly. This will not be, mess. Okay, getting it?
Yes, and one more doubt, Abhay. It's like when I preview the page, but I am seeing like all the controls that I added, all step one and step two, everything showing in one page itself. It's like I'm not seeing that wizard kind of design. Say like first show the step one, after completing go to step two. That's something I'm not able to see. It's showing everything as a as a single one screen. Yeah, the same thing I'm seeing there in my. So how to get into that wizard kind of design?
Okay, you mean this. You need to drag it, click on
Okay.
this, and select this one, new port.
New. Okay.
This will be that
Yep.
view. Now you need to type something here, and then you can go to the next screen, and this will be shown like that. Okay, the
But
styling we
but
will discuss.
yeah, but I
Mhm.
saw the text. Okay, two components was there. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, yeah. Now you can see one thing. You can do one thing. You can drag the other elements with whatever they're in the input and see how the JSON is generating them. Okay, and one more thing I forgot to mention. Whatever we are doing here, like we have dragged the text. We have dragged two text here, right? These two text will not gonna make any changes in Salesforce JSON file or metadata file. Okay, they will be remain here only. So don't be confused, like if I drag something here and if I bind our values to account object in the back end, there will be a field for account search name will be created. Okay, this will not gonna happen. Whatever you're doing, this will be part of your JSON only. Okay, now if I go and refresh this, you will see those changes directly here as well. You can see this is version 1, but if you go all the step that we have dragged, like step 1, account search text, step 2, step 2, sorry, text 2 is step 2 currency. All those things will be part of your main object, right? So whatever element we drag here, it will create another record and it will be visible. It will be tagged on your OmniScript. Okay, so those things will be directly here as well. So it is doing nothing. Our drag and drop, that spinner that was showing here, it is not doing nothing, but it is creating a record on the backend and tagging that record to the main object, which is our account search. Similar ways for versioning as well. It will maintain different versions. See, there are different record that got created. One is this account search abay that I just created, version 3, and all those things are there also. Right. So whatever we are doing, it is also maintaining into the backend Salesforce as well. I think those are all things that we want to discuss today. In the next class, we will interact with data raptors. We will also check how we can use the conditional rendering. Any questions?
Since it performs a lot more DML when we do the drag and drop of each element, will it cause any performance issue?
It will not. See, whatever you're doing as an admin. You have a right to configure your OmniScript. Then only it will do. But when you deploy this thing to user, when you actually complete your UI and give this page to the user,
Okay.
then it will not make any email. It will do whatever you configured on this next buttons.
But to render the UI, you should read the database first, then you should render it, right?
Correct, correct. It will read the
So when
database
it
and then
come, yeah, when I'm thinking when it come for a complex UI, with lot more
yeah, right, right.
components.
So correct, correct. So let me ask you this. If you are the designer of this VF page, then how
Yeah,
you will show that? I mean, if there is a so many, let's say there are 100 steps, okay,
yeah,
and you are the designer, then do you load all those 100 steps in one go, or you will load
no,
those when
yeah.
user click on next
After
button?
exactly after completing
Right.
each step. Yeah.
Right. So same things Velocity is also doing. Whenever you click on next button, then only it will do the DML.
Yeah.
I have a part of one project where in previous members of the team, they write everything into the one script, but that is also not a best practice. You should divide your script wisely. You should also create a route. See, whenever you get a real requirement, you have to first think like this. What is the actual requirement and where are the node where you can divide your own scripts? Okay,
Mm.
because whatever you are feeding on the top head, this is also it, this is also it, whatever you're feeding here, this will be the input of your further nodes. So the better
Okay.
approach is just divide the omniscript and here only send the information which is relevant to this part, send this information which is relevant to this part. So
Okay.
this is
Yeah.
the structure that we usually follow, but as a UI user will see this, they will not aware which omniscript they are showing, or whether there is only one omniscript or a different omniscripts. They will only see this UI.
Okay.
Okay. And there we will create path and divide the UI wisely on based on the user actions.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, so let's meet tomorrow. I will also check if we start finding that error messages and those. I will create another org and you can access both orgs. But yeah, usually this problem doesn't occur, but yeah, I can see this is happening in this org. All right, yeah, let's connect tomorrow.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you.